It's time for another part of playthrough from Tourist Trophy. And today I have a shorter episode because this particular part of playthrough consists of two long championships, including Yamaha TZ125 and 250. First off, I need to set up some things, as usual, like final gear ratio, and also I need to check out, for example, some other things. I have racing exhaust, hard compound for tires, because honestly those races have 5 laps each, so those championships are still long enough. Luckily, this whole episode will only include 3 races each in those championship series. I have Tsukuba, Suzuka and Tunic Motegi, 5 laps each. So let's see if this Yamaha TZ125 is fast enough, despite being a small racing pocket bike. So first race, 5 laps around Tsukuba circuit, and as you can see we even have a starting line with Mazda logos. Such a shame that those Mazda logos were not seen, for example, in Mazda MX-5 demo of Gran Turismo 4. But whatever. This pocket bike is also an interesting one because I hear that this engine is 2-stroke engine. This motorbike have somewhere around 40 horsepower and interestingly only 90 kilograms of weight. So it is an interesting racing bike. And also because I have Japanese, I could say Japanese pocket bikes. Those 3 races I have in this championship are in fact a great choice. 5 laps around Tsukuba with this difficult chicane. Then Suzuka circuit, if I'm not mistaken, that was probably west section. And then we have the longest race in this event, which is a race 5 laps around Tunic Motegi road course. Also some nice techno electro music in the background. Why not? Four seconds of gap, and I'm still trying to figure out. I figured it out. How to overtake this rival, who is now on 3rd place. Lap number 3. Yeah, of the course. Luckily in this particular game I don't have any sort of punishment for cautionless driving in this game. Alright, here is my chance now. So close. Alright, it's done. Now for those almost 2 laps, I need to keep the first place and go straight to the finish line. Piece of cake, honestly, because if I don't make a simple mistake on all those hairpin corners and chicanes, obviously the chicane near the Dunlop Bridge, this race would be actually a very easy thing to do. Well, that was easy. A simple race around Tsukuba circuit, and I got the first place. Perfect. 10 points. Time for the second track in competition model series. So, the second track, as I thought, is Suzuka Circuit West Course. 5 laps around this, I might say, more difficult section, because I have spoon corner, 130R, difficult chicane, and also I might say some kind of a double, like a double junction section, or just a right hairpin just before this ice band near the finish line. The best thing also about this particular track is the fact that opponents usually on this track use their brakes much more often, which helps me a lot, because through those hairpins I can just use a simple basic technique of overtaking. Now I need to watch out going through this chicane. Right now everything is alright. I have now only one opponent to pass. So let's take this spoon corner. Damn. Well, that's a tough one. Looks like I forgot how difficult driving in Tourist Trophy is, because honestly, through those years I live, besides of Tourist Trophy, the only motorbike games I've played were probably MotoGP 2, MotoGP 3, and possibly some motocross racing games. But motocross racing games, those old ones yet made by Rainbow Studios, for example, were not only easy, you didn't have a chance to actually drive too fast through those tracks because of many obstacles, jumps, etc. Here in Tourist Trophy, this pocket bike is a fast one. Power to weight ratio is about 2 to 1 because, as I said, 40 to 45 horsepower and somewhere around 90 kilograms. I don't know how much of it is extra for the driver. Is it 60 or 70 kilograms? But yeah, without the driver, power to weight ratio is somewhere around 2 to 1. Somewhere around this. Yeah, no chances of overshooting those hairpins now. But still, I need to make sure that I don't make any more mistakes on spoon corner in this race. Okay. Now that's good. Really good. I was lucky. I would be finished in real life if this would happen. Unless I would prefer much more to shred my bike outfit than losing my life. Alright, final lap. Let's see how this works out. How this could work out actually. I need to watch out on this 130R corner and now the right hairpin. Steady. Alright. That also was good. No issues with this track for some time at least, because I won the second race and TZ125 Cup. Second race is over with over 8 seconds of lead. Great. I like this. Alright, so right now I have only one race left. Touring Motegi road course. But still, 5 laps around this track. So let's see. A difficult racetrack with many sharp corners and hairpins. Let's see. Also in the background I have my favorite song made by Vitalik. If you want some nice electro music besides of Detroit techno, something like that, I recommend Electro Clash. Some sort of a mix between punk rock and techno music, and some sorts also a little hardcore hover added in various tracks. For example, those made by Hacker, The Hacker. Those were the times. Almost like this La Rock 01 made by Vitalik is actually, no, in some sorts a casual European electro music song, but it's a good one. Vitalik is hitting Felix the House Cat or The Hacker. Too close. I would like to see an opponent falling off his bike, because in Tourist Trophy it is actually a very difficult thing to do, unless you are trying to race on a very difficult track, but those were some tracks from Gran Turismo 4 were actually left only for time attack or 2-player battle. Because, for example, Nürburgring Nordschleife from Gran Turismo 4, also beside of that Seattle circuit, obviously, Cozy Azur and few other tracks were removed from single race, from events, those championships. I mean, because those particular tracks are good for car racing, but try to drive very fast through Nürburgring Nordschleife or Seattle circuit or Côte d'Azur or, for example, any other track. Choose one of the fastest motorbikes you can acquire, even those Suzuka 8-hour ones, because I remember I acquired one, so I know those bikes are possible to acquire in this game. Back to the topic. Yes, artificial intelligence is advanced in this game. They hardly ever do any mistakes, which is interesting because in Gran Turismo 3 and Gran Turismo 4, because there is no damage, I guess cars behave completely different. But tourist trophy is something else. So yeah. Some tracks were just left over for Gran Turismo fans, but it was impossible to include single race mode on those tracks because of elevation changes, difficult corners, jumps, lack of grip on various surfaces. You not only have asphalt in those games, you also have, for example, concrete. Something like that, I mean. Obviously, if you want to check out those bikes with I mean, we can acquire motors or Kawasaki D-Tracker. If I'm not mistaken, those are motors, motocross type of bikes. If you want to check out those types of bikes on dirt snow tracks, I recommend an old mode, Vision Tourist Trophy. It is actually a mix of Tourist Trophy, but placed on the tracks from Gran Turismo 4, including those reverse ones. Despite the fact that I cheated, cutting corners, all of that stuff, that was also a nice method to overtake the leader of this race, to actually become the leader. And yeah, this song in the background, if you can hear it actually, because copyright issues, all that stuff, you know, is another song made by Vitalik. That was actually a good idea, to slow down, to not make a big mistake and crash. Great, it's over. I took care of all 3 races in this particular championship series. So after TZ125 championship, it's time to move on to a much faster motorbike, Yamaha TZ250. But I also need to acquire my prize bike. Let's see what kind of a motorbike I can acquire thanks to this particular championship. Obviously, I acquire as a bonus one outfit and Suzuki RG250 Gamma. Perfect. Street bike with an optional exhaust upgrade. And also, I finished first, so I can change special number. Alright, so now I have 250cc competition model series. So let's go to the garage and find race modified TZ250. This 93 horsepower. Alright, so obviously I have 3 races, 5 laps each. Luckily I have racing tires, but I need to change the final gear ratio just in case, because I don't like to lose speed in those games. And even if I don't have a chance to hit 300 kilometers, obviously, at least I can drive fast enough. And I have still a very fast motorbike. 93 horsepower, 110 kilograms of weight. So, let's see those 3 races in this model series. Suzuka Circuit, Touring Motegi and Infineon Raceway. Okay, so full Suzuka Circuit, full Touring Motegi, and the final challenge on an American track, because this is Infineon. Alright, whatever, 5 laps around Suzuka Circuit. A much faster motorbike. Great. Again this difficult chicane, and here's hoping I don't lose my focus, because I can't fall out of the bike on the spoon corner. Oops, I did it again. My bad. But mostly it was a bad decision thanks to a lack of grip, because this is a much faster motorbike. I lost grip and the bike just started acting a little wacky. Alright, that was a good thing. Now, second opponent overtaken. Now for the leader. I like to play dirty when it comes to those races. Almost got hit by an instant karma, but now it's my turn again. Damn it! Come back here! He's not worth it. Instant karma hits up. So Tourist Trophy is this kind of a game that does not let you play dirty during those races and challenges. So only 2 laps to go. I'm honestly enjoying this race and the background music because while this real riding simulator is still is not, I have to say, it is not 100% accurate representation of real bike riding. It is still realistic enough for PlayStation 2 game that it actually gives a lot of fun. Sometimes you can just, as I like to say, mellow out, you know. Those long races have this specific trait. I've played various games that even if you had 2 to 3 laps, you could actually feel boredom. But when it comes, yeah, my mistake, let's focus. You have 5 laps in those races. Those races I am recording today. And I can honestly say that it's not actually that much of a boredom. Right now I could say it's more of a just chilling out, feeling good because I'm playing a game that have good price bikes, nice realistic tracks, real life circuits, but also interesting original circuits made by Polyphony themselves, etc. And I like this experience. Those types of games where even if you don't have constant rush, a big amount of adrenaline, you still can have a lot of fun playing those games. And that is great. That is just perfect because you can just actually feel sometimes, yeah, actually feel driving a fast motorbike on a real life circuit. You know, back when I was a kid, I was playing Gran Turismo 4 while I had, I don't know, 10, 11 years. I was 10, 11 years old. To me, those PlayStation 2 graphics were highly realistic. Nowadays, is more nostalgic. If you want realistic graphics, you can play, for example, I don't know, let's just say Need for Speed Payback or Need for Speed Hit, Dirt Rally 2.0, or even something like GTA 5. Guess I am getting old enough. And I also lost focus on this spoon corner at the final lap. Well, that's just me. But I don't really care about that because now I only have difficult. But I can do it. 130 yard radius, 130 radius corner. This, let's just say, chicane. And straight to the finish line, through the finish line. So I can move on from Suzuka to Mosegi. And it was actually a long race, took me 11.5 minutes, but it's not a bad thing. Now I have 5 laps around Motegi. Let's see how this works out. Next race. Five laps around Twining Motegi road course. So right now I can check out Motegi circuit, but now I am driving much faster motorbike. So this race can be very exciting, but I can honestly make one simple mistake and all of this could go very wrong, very fast. Like right now. That was not the best option to overtake this opponent. I got it, but still, he could have a chance to catch up to me and take back his place. Luckily, it just didn't happen. It didn't happen. Happened. Pardon my French. Alright. I have a chance to overtake this opponent before the end of the first lap. I can't say it's 100% possible, but let's try. I still have those tackling corners or something like that. This difficult section just before the start-finish line over here. I've made it too. Now, second lap. I have almost 4 seconds of gap. So, let's see how this works out. Too wide. I need to learn some more things about those driving physics in Tourist Trophy, honestly, because I'm making those episodes of playthroughs from various games. Honestly, I'm not a big fan myself, not that much of a fan of motorbike racing games, just like with car racing games or ATVs. But it's actually kind of impressive how I got all gold times in all those license tests, despite many attempts. Also all those challenges, and still during those events and championships I still sometimes have problems with those driving physics, because driving a motorbike is completely not only real life in many games. For example, make a comparison not only between Tourist Trophy and Gran Turismo 4, but for example even games made by Namco, MotoGP 3 and iRacing Evolution, made on the same engine. I made a playthrough of iRacing Evolution. Soon I will probably make playthroughs of MotoGP 2. I'm not sure about MotoGP 3 right now, at least, because I have a lot of stuff on my mind personally, not only when it comes to playing games and, you know, using my free time for my own entertainment and showing it off to other people. But yeah, make a comparison between a motorbike racing game and car racing game. Even the same companies that made those two types of games separately made various changes. So now you know. Damn it. That was not a bad decision. But it was not a good decision either. Alright, so I'm close enough to start the final lap of this race, and then I can move out from Japan to California in the United States to win a race on, if I'm not mistaken, Infineon Raceway was also known as not Sonora Raceway, probably Sears Point. Yes. Here is the final lap, the fifth. Damn it. Again, at the end of the race, again I've made one mistake that made me fall out of the bike. But I still won, and this particular race took me only 10 minutes. However, I still had nice lead distance from all other opponents, other drivers, bike riders. So, right now I have only one final race left. And the final race takes place on Infineon Raceway. So let's get there. 5 laps around Infineon Raceway. Obviously, Tourist Trophy Edition, because this is a modified version used for bike racing. It is not sports car course or stock car course, it's actually a bike course. So, 5 laps, a very difficult track, honestly. I can't say if it's much more difficult than Laguna Seca, but it's a Californian track, so take a guess if it's a simple race. Various elevation changes, undulating surfaces, if I'm not mistaken. Luckily we don't have a corkscrew, but it doesn't change the fact that on this particular track there is also a high chance to make, I might say, a big mistake. That eventually would cost me not winning this particular race. Even though I'm actually in the first place, in championship rankings. That's just me. But, as I said earlier, in this particular game, opponents behave much more different than Gran Turismo. When it comes to artificial intelligence and amount of grip those bikes have, opponents are very cautious because they can't make those mistakes. So in some ways, I might actually call this game the real riding simulator, because obviously, rather than in Gran Turismo, here opponents don't make that many mistakes, unless, as I said earlier, you could force the game to boot up a single race around those locked tracks, like Nürburgring Nordschleife, like Seattle Circuit, like Côte d'Azur. If I'm not mistaken, El Capitan wasn't even used for single races, mostly because of those undulating surfaces. So now you know. I've checked out in my free time tracks that were available for free run and single race, just like with Gran Turismo 4. Strange fact why, for example, for single races in arcade mode you could not choose Città d'Aria, even though you had rally events on Città d'Aria, because it is actually a very difficult rally track set in Assisi. That's how you pronounce it. I don't know. Yeah, old Italian city. So yeah. Okay, so now I have the final lap. And strangely enough, even though I did not have many chances to test out those bikes on Infineon Raceway, honestly, it is not that much of a difficult track unless I am just driving very cautiously. Mostly because of all those fails I've made on Suzuka Circuit and Touring Motegi. Probably. Okay, now I need to watch out. Okay, I've made it. No big problems, just few small mistakes. Maybe few big ones, but still, I've made it. 1 and 2 difficult championships, including Yamaha TZ bikes. TZ125 and TZ250. So, in the next episode, I could actually move on to much faster super bikes. Super street and super bikes. But let's just see the final price bike in this episode. I acquired a new outfit, a helmet. I don't care honestly, but I got a perfect price bike because this is the second special bike from Suzuka 8-hour bike endurance race. YSP and Presto Racing, Yamaha. And also obtained a special racing number because I finished first again. So that's it in this episode, obviously. I passed those 2 championships. Next episode will be much more interesting. So stay tuned for the next video and have a nice day. I'm out.